Let's get going. So welcome to our functional fitness class, part of our Grow with GoGo series. Before we get moving, just a quick reminder of what else GoGo offers. So in addition to these classes, you can access rides, meals, groceries, medication delivery, and home services, all by calling one number, and that number is 855-464-6872. We also have a referral code. So at the bottom of your GoGo receipts, there's a code. If you give the code to a friend and they use it and take their first service with GoGo, you will both get $10 in credit. So just a nice win-win. We also have a Facebook group. So if you want to continue any of these conversations online, you can move to or find our link on Facebook and chat with us there. All right, with that, if we haven't met, I'm Adra. I teach the yoga and the functional fitness classes here at GoGo on Wednesdays and Fridays. What do we need? All you need is a chair or walls, well, chair. Yeah, we use the chair in class. Doesn't really matter what kind of chair for this class. We just use it for balance. Sometimes we sit here and there. And I have a pair of light weights. If you don't have light weights, so I'm thinking 1 to 3 pounds. If you don't have light weights, you can grab water bottles, cans, or nothing at all. Just moving through space and imagining that you're lifting something heavy can be plenty of work. So know that that is totally fine if you don't have equipment. All right, so with that, I will stop sharing my screen. My video is spotlighted, so it's probably your big video, but sometimes your computer overrides our settings. So you can go to the top right-hand corner of your screen, and there's a box that will show up if you move your cursor there that says View. You can pick Gallery View or Speaker View. Speaker View will be me. Gallery View, you will see everyone. So just know that you have that as an option. But let me move my mic. Still getting used to having a physical big mic that's not attached to me. Also, this is your time and your practice. So if anything doesn't feel good, you're responsible for your body. Take care of yourself. Pause, take breaks, modify. I give as many options as possible, but sometimes the options are not the right thing for you. So just listening to your body, if something feels funny, skip it. And there'll be another exercise within a few minutes anyways. I think that's all of the housekeeping for today. If I forget something, I'll just remember in the middle of class and mention it. And we'll get going. So let's start standing. So finding your nice standing position, letting your feet be parallel, let's say about 4 to 6 inches apart. So not a really wide stance, pretty narrow stance. We're putting our feet underneath where our hip sockets are. So sometimes we think about our hips being out here, which sure, our hips are out here, but our hip sockets are actually relatively narrow. So seeing if we can place our feet underneath those hip sockets. So that would be 4 to 6 inches apart. And letting those arms soften and just taking a moment to notice how your body likes to organize itself. So how do you like to stand comfortably? Is there more weight on one foot compared to the other? And don't change anything. I know it's really hard and tempting. Is the weight shifted to one side? Is it shifted forward or back? Noticing where your ribs are, where your head is positioned. Are you rotated in a certain way? So we all have certain habits and there's nothing wrong with them. We want to bring awareness to them. So just noticing how has your body organized itself. And then we're going to play with the weight. You're going to let your weight shift forward and back on your feet. So letting that weight shift forward and back. And see if you can find relatively even weight front to back. Is it possible? Can I find even weight front to back? And then rock a little side to side. Left and right. So you're still maintaining that even weight front to back, but you're adding that side to side. And now see if you can find even weight side to side and front to back. That can be a little bit tricky. And then notice where your pelvis is. And now you want your pelvis stacked over your feet and your rib cage stacked over your pelvis. So just having a moment to think about that your pelvis isn't way forward that your ribs aren't way forward, that you're letting the pelvis be over those ankles, over those feet, and the ribs are over the pelvis. So playing around with how you can find that alignment. And then from there, of course, the head balances on the spine over the rib cage. So head over the rib cage over the pelvis, pelvis over the legs, vertical legs into the ankles and feet. From there, let's inhale, reach those arms up towards the ceiling, reaching tall. Exhale, arms lower back down, just waking up the body a little bit, moving those arms. Inhale, arms circle out and up. And exhale, arms come down. One more time. Inhale, arms circle out and up. And exhale, arms come down. Let's inhale, open up the chest, reach the arms out to the side. We're back bending, so we're lifting the sternum, tail goes behind us, and then round the back, tuck your tail, give yourself a hug. Stretch your back body. Inhale, we open up the front of the body, arms open, fingers stretch back, and exhale, round the back, tuck your tail, give yourself a hug. Keep going, follow your breath, a couple more times. And make your way back to center, release those arms and bend side to side. So bending right and left. So we're just warming up the spine before we pick up the weights and do harder things. Just making sure our spine is able to move in all the different directions. And coming back to center. Let's bend those knees. Let's take cactus arms. So bending those elbows 90 degrees. Keep those legs still and twist your upper body. So you're rotating your upper body. It's not just the shoulders rotating. We're really thinking spine, rib cage is rotating. And this can be as fast or as slow as you want. And then coming back to center, releasing the arms. So we're going to give ourselves one alignment cue for today to play with, moving in and out of this alignment. So we're going to find our sternum. So our sternum is this hard bone, sort of in the center of the chest. So if we think about where our neck is and our collarbones, we're going to move center and just slightly down. So it's your breastbone. So it's firm and hard. So you're not on something soft, and you're center. So if you go too low, you'll hit soft abdominal tissue. And if you go too high, you're going to hit your throat. So it's a relatively big bone, depends on each person, but you're finding your sternum and we're going pretty center. So it's kind of chest height a little bit higher would be comfortable. I mean, it's also low as well, but I like kind of in the middle of the sternum. So finding that bone. And then you're going to find your pubic bone. So your pubic bone is this hard bone in the front of the pelvis. So our pelvis is made up of 3 bones that create this region here of our pelvis. And your pubic bone is usually where your pubic hair is or would be. And you're going to find that relationship between that pubic bone and your sternum. So noticing where they line up. Is one forward from the other? So noticing, okay, where is it lined up in relationship to each other? So just noticing, a lot of people have their pubic bone forward. A lot of people have their sternum rotated up. So what we're going to find is 2 things. I want the pubic bone and the sternum in the same plane. And then I want that sternum to be vertical. What we often see is a rotated pelvis. Sorry, not rotated pelvis. Well, we do see that too, but a rotated rib cage where the sternum is shining up towards the ceiling. Nothing wrong with that. But today we're going to play with finding this alignment of where the sternum is not shining up towards the sky, but it's straight up and down. So for some people, it sort of feels like slouching, but we're going to let that sternum relax. You're going to let the ribs relax. It creates a little less tension on our spine, and find that our sternum is vertical and our sternum and our pubic bone are in the same plane. So you can always use your hands to find that. And we're going to add some movement of our legs without losing this relationship between our sternum and our pubic bone. And this can be hard to feel. So if at some point it's helpful for you, maybe later today you find a mirror and you find this relationship and you notice, okay, is my sternum and my pubic bone in the same plane? All right, from here, our feet, anywhere from 4 to 10 inches apart, so not super wide. We're going to bend the knees, let those hips go back, torso can come a little forward, and then come back up to stand. So we're going into a little chair pose, but I want you to maintain that relationship between your sternum and your pubic bone. So I like my hands there because it helps me think about maintaining this relationship. There's nothing wrong with moving out of the relationship, but we're playing with how can we maintain some of that tension or that core tension in the body while we move other parts. It's almost like there's a magnet between this pubic bone and the sternum, and they really want to stay together. All right, and we'll come up. And I'm going to give you one other cue that you can play with that's giving us the same idea. And then we'll let go of those cues and sprinkle them in throughout class. You'll bring your thumbs to your lower ribs. So thumbs are going to find something firm, but it's pretty low. So if we're thinking bra line or heart monitor line, it is lower than that, but it is higher than your belly button. So my belly button is here. My heart monitor line is here. It's somewhere in between the two, but it's off to the side. You're going to find your ribs. You're going to find your lowest ribs possible, that you find the bones. And then you're going to bring your pinkies to the front of your pelvis. So everyone has different sized hands, so you can't always feel this. So if you're not feeling it, it's okay. It just might be that your hands are a little bit small, or your torso is long. Could be either way. So thumbs on the lower ribs, pinkies are going to find these hard bones in the front of the pelvis. So we're touching in the bones of the pelvis, just a different part of the bone. We're sticking these sticky outy bones. They're called their ASISs, anterior superior iliac spine, but the name doesn't matter. We're finding those sticky outy bones in the fronts of the ribs. I want those to be in the same plane. So again, noticing, is one ahead of the other or one behind the other? I want them to be in the same plane. And if you can feel both of these bones, what's going to be fun is as we add movement, you're going to see if the bones disappear from under your hands. And you don't want that to happen. If we're trying to maintain that relationship, those lower ribs and those sticky outy bones are magnets. They're pulling towards each other. They have this energy, this engagement towards each other. And then we add that knee bend. So is it possible to maintain that relationship? So can you keep feeling your bones underneath your fingers as you bend your legs? So we're bending the knees, little chair pose, and coming back up. So form is a good thing to learn so that we can then safely move out of form or out of alignment. Alignment's a nice thing to find so that we can feel what our habits are, and then how can we move out of our habits. So both of those cues are giving us essentially the same idea, the same thing. They're just different ways. So you can pick which one you like better as we go. All right, let's go ahead and release, shake it off. We're going to grab our weights. So we're standing tall, but you're still finding that relationship, sternum to pubic bone or low ribs to sticky outy bone. So whichever one you want. It's the relationship of the rib cage to the pelvis. So we're maintaining that relationship. We'll bend those elbows, hands by the shoulders, and push the arms up to the ceiling. So we're just doing shoulder presses here. And you can do this without weights. If you're doing it without weights, you're thinking about pushing something up. If you're holding weights, just make sure that you're doing this with control. Same thing here. Can you maintain that relationship of the rib cage to the pelvis? So what we're avoiding is letting the ribs come up, right? So I'm showing you what not to do. So you don't want to shine that heart towards the ceiling
as your arms go up, right? Because we're losing that relationship between the rib cage and the pelvis. So as best you can, you're finding, okay, sternum and pubic bone in the same plane, or low ribs and sticky outy bones in the same plane. Arms are moving, torso is not. There's nothing wrong with moving the torso, but that's not the point of this exercise. A few more. Woo. All right, and then releasing down. I'm going to bring the weights in front of my chest. You can put the weights down or keep holding on to them. We'll move to our legs. We're going to go into squats. So feet are going to go about shoulder width. Your toes can point forward or slightly out, but not a big turnout. Watch that your knees follow the same line as your feet. As you bend your knees, hips go back and come on up. So same thing here. Yes, we're moving our legs and we're moving our upper body, but can you find that relationship between pubic bone and sternum? Can they be together? Maybe, maybe not. And again, there's nothing wrong with moving out of that position, but we're seeing if we can find the position, because generally it's pretty easy to move out of the position. It's harder to find that relationship between sternum and pubic bone and maintaining it as you move. Doesn't mean I want you stiff as a board throughout life. It's just for the sake of today's class, is finding that relationship. Couple more. So you're still bending those knees, you're still squatting. All right, and coming up, arms come down, feet come back towards each other. Whew. Second set of overhead presses. Another way to think about this relationship as you do the overhead presses, or another way to work on it, is to put your back against a wall. And notice what parts of your back touch the wall, and then do your overhead presses. So you can do the overhead presses as you've been doing, so away from a wall, thinking sternum and pubic bone stay in that same plane. Or if that feels really hard, you can find a wall, put your back against the wall, back of the head against the wall, so the hips and the upper part of your spine will touch the wall. Your heels might be an inch away from the wall. And you're moving the arms without moving those contact points. So the contact points stay the same the whole time. So that's just another way to think about it, just thinking about it from the back. Or feeling it from the back. It's a feedback tool, but not everyone has wall space. So it's just another way. Couple more. Woo! I don't know about you, maybe it's just me today. My shoulders are feeling this. All right, let's put those weights down. And in front of the chest for our squats. Taking those feet wide, about shoulder width. You can turn those toes slightly out, but not a lot. And we bend those knees and come up. All right. Let's come all the way up and shake it off. We're going to use our chair for some tricep extensions. So facing your chair, facing the seat of your chair, you'll bring your left hand on the chair and your right hand's going to hold your weight. So depending on the shape of your body, you might need to bend your knees, and also just the tightness of the body. So you might need to bend the knees. Your knees can be straight. Your left hand is on the chair. The right arm is going to be dangling. If you prefer, you can bring your forearm to a table. So forearm to a table, that left forearm can go on a table, or left hand on a chair. Right hand is holding the weight. Knees can be bent or straight. Our spine is long. So if you're finding that you're rounded like a cat position, a scared Halloween cat, then you need to adjust. That might mean that you need to bend your knees. That might mean that you need to be up higher. So maybe your hand comes to a table or you're bringing yourself to the back of the chair, the backrest. So keep that spine relatively long. We bend the elbow just to prep, shoulder blade towards the spine, elbow stays high. So our upper arm is parallel to the ground. Don't lose that height as you straighten that right arm back behind you. So the entire arm is parallel to the ground, and then bend, keep that elbow high. So we're just straightening and bending that right arm. Torso is about parallel to the earth, or at least the torso is long. Spine is long. Elbow stays high as you straighten and bend the arm. So you'll feel the back of the arm fire up. If you're not feeling it, then my guess is your elbow is not high enough or that you're moving it. Right, so what I'm doing right now is not what we're doing. Right, that's just using momentum. Nothing wrong with that, but that's not what we're doing. That upper arm stays parallel to the earth as you straighten and bend. All right, that's enough of that on that side. Woo. Come on up, take a breath. And we go to the other side. So placing the weight in your left hand, facing your chair, right hand on the chair. So it's the same exact position, it's just we're switching sides. So right hand on the chair or right forearm to a table, knees can be bent or straight. That left arm bends, so left elbow comes up, so it's close to the rib cage. That upper arm is parallel to the earth. That left upper arm is parallel to the earth. We straighten the left arm behind us. Bring the whole arm parallel to the earth. Keep the upper arm parallel to the earth as you bend the elbow. And then straighten. So we're straightening and bending the elbow, but the upper arm is fixed. So that humerus bone, that upper arm bone, is not moving. It is staying still, and it's the forearm that is moving because we're bending and straightening the elbow. Okay, and coming all the way up. I'm gonna grab both of the weights for some leg work here. You can choose to not have the weights if you prefer. We'll take our legs wide now. So wider than the shoulders, wider than a squat. I'm gonna keep my feet parallel. If you need to turn your feet out a little bit, that's fine as well. So know that you have that option to turn the feet out if that feels better on the body. We're gonna bend one knee as the hips go back behind you. Think about putting more weight into that heel of the leg that is bent. And come up. I don't want you to worry too much about the sternum and the pubic bone here. So we're just focusing on the legs now. So pelvis goes back. We're bending one knee, more weight in the heel than in the toes, and up. So we're going into these side lunges. Smooth out the breath. All right, even yourself out right to left. So you're even, come back to center. Bring those legs back towards each other. And we're going back to those tricep extensions. So coming back to your chair. We're holding the weight in the right hand. The left hand is on the chair or your left forearm is on a table. Your knees can be bent or straight. The spine is long. Here's a nice place though to find that rib cage and pelvis relationship or the sternum pubic bone relationship. Right arm bends, so the elbow is moving towards the ceiling. Upper arm is parallel to the earth. The upper arm does not move as you straighten the arm behind you. Whole arm parallel to the earth And then bend the elbow, keep the upper arm where it is. So upper arm is fixed as you straighten and bend that right arm, or that right elbow. All right, and then go ahead and come on up. Shake it off for a second. Take a deep breath. And we go to the other side. So right hand on the chair, left hand dangles, finding that same alignment. The knees can be bent or straight. Bend the left elbow, upper arm is parallel to the earth, and then we straighten the arm all the way. So the whole arm is parallel to the earth, and then we bend the forearm, or bend the elbow so the forearm comes down. So keep going here at your own pace. Again, trying to keep that elbow fixed in space. So yes, the elbow is bending and straightening, but it's not bobbing up and down. All right, and letting that go, coming up. Grabbing both of your weights if you want them for your side lunges. So feet go wide, wider than the shoulders. I'm keeping my feet parallel, but if you find that uncomfortable, change it up, make it work for your body. Weights can be up by the chest if you're holding weights. We bend one knee, hips go back. Again, thinking about more weight on the heels. So maybe you could even lift and wiggle those toes of the bent knee leg, and then coming up. And then we bend the other knee. More weight on the heels than on the front of the foot. Keep going. And there's nothing wrong with getting weight onto the front of the foot, but I would bet that most of you find it much easier to get the weight on the front of the foot because the front of the leg is a little more active or strong. And so letting that weight shift back into the heels just gives you a little more sensation in the back of the leg. Let's give about one more each side. Come all the way up. Let's bring those feet back together. And we're gonna do a little balancing. We're gonna come behind our chair. If getting behind your chair is not possible, find a wall or a table. So I want you to have something to hold on to. Holding on to that support, we'll step the right foot in front of the left, standing on a balance beam or a tightrope. Once you go there, pause and just notice what your natural alignment is once you've moved into this position. And just because we've been focusing on that sternum and that pubic bone, see if you can then, once again, find that alignment of sternum and pubic bone in the same plane without over squeezing your glutes. It's a little tricky in this position, or it just feels a little funny in this position, but seeing, okay, can I align my sternum and my pubic bone even though now I have one foot in front of the other? And then for more challenge, you'll lighten how hard you're holding onto your chair. So maybe you go onto the tips of the fingers. Maybe you hover your hands. Maybe you hold with one pinky. Doesn't matter. If you still need more challenge when your hands are off, close the eyes. That'll give you extra challenge, but only if that feels like something you need, giving you the right amount of challenge. So no need to overdo it, being kind to yourself. Giving yourself the just right challenge. Hard enough, but not too hard. Hands back to the chair or table or wall, and we switch. So step that right foot back, left foot now steps forward in front. So we're standing on that tightrope, that balance beam. Again, for a moment here, while you're holding the chair, thinking about, can I get my sternum and my pubic bone in the same plane? So for me, when I'm in this position, my tail wants to go way back behind me. My chest wants to lift. I want to go into a back bend because I feel more stable there. But noticing what it is for you, and then find that relationship. Can my sternum and pubic bone be in the same plane? Or can my low ribs and my sticky outy bones be in the same plane? Can there be a nice relationship there without over clenching the glutes? And then find your balance. Once you found that alignment, maybe lighten how hard you're holding on to your chair. Maybe you're holding on with one hand or one finger. Maybe you're hovering the hands. And again, if you need more challenge, you can close the eyes. And knowing that the position is dynamic, so it's normal to sway and shift a little bit side to side, forward and back, diagonally, when you are balancing. But we're still trying to maintain that general sense of this rib cage and pelvis can be in certain alignment. All right, hands back to the chair. Undo those legs, shake them out. We'll go into a stretch here. So hands on the back of the chair, we'll walk ourselves back into an upside down L position. So walking those feet back until your legs, so that your ankles are underneath your pelvis or underneath your hips. Your torso is parallel to the earth and those arms are following that same line. If this is too much on the shoulders, you can lift your torso up so you don't have to be in that complete L position. Same thing here. Is it possible to find that pubic bone and sternum alignment? Maybe, maybe not. Few deep breaths. All right, and then lifting your torso up, walking yourself forward. We're gonna go into some lunges here. We're gonna do it differently than what we usually do. So usually for lunges, we hold on with one arm and have one leg back, so we do sideways. But today we're gonna actually stay with both hands on the chair. It's just different. It gives us a different sensations. So we'll stand on that right leg and step the left foot back. Anywhere from 1 to 3 feet behind you. It is up to you. It depends on the length of your legs. We're still holding on to the chair. You don't want to be so close to the chair that your knee can't bend, right? So if you're at a wall, you do need to go sideways. So if you're at a wall, you need to go sideways. If you're at a chair, you're probably okay because you can have your chair further away because your arms can go forward. All right, so all 10 toes face forward. You are on railroad tracks. You are not on a tightrope here. It is really hard when you're on a tightrope. So you're allowing your feet to have some width between them, right? So you see that I'm on 2 parallel lines. I'm not on a tightrope, so my foot is not directly in front of the other foot. From here, we bend both knees. We're gonna keep that sternum and pubic bone alignment just because that's what we're thinking about today as you come up. So down and up. We bend both knees, we straighten both legs. It's up to you how low you go. Two more. All right, next time you're up, we'll pause, step forward, back foot meets the front. We switch sides. Right foot goes behind us. Again, find that position. Feet are 1 to 3 feet apart, depends on the length of the legs. You are on railroad tracks. So your feet have some separation width-wise between them. Like a ball could roll between the legs. A small ball, like a tennis ball or a softball can roll between the legs, front to back. And we bend both knees. We're gonna keep that torso relatively vertical. Again, sternum, pubic bone in that same plane. And straighten, bend and straighten. All right, and then stepping forward, shake it off. All right, let's grab those weights. We're going to do an externally rotated bicep curl. So we're going to grab those weights. You're going to turn those palms to face sort of out. And then we bend the elbows. Watch that those arms aren't close to each other. So we bend the elbows. Hands come towards the sides of the shoulders and then back down. If you don't have weights, you're imagining that you're picking something up that's really heavy and then really slowly lowering it down. You can even do that while you're holding the weights, and that will add some challenge to this. So we have that externally rotated position, or that turned out position, as we bend and straighten the arms. Watching any tendency to start to creep forward. Nothing wrong with that. That's a normal exercise. It's just a different one. All right, let's put those weights down. And we're going back to those lunges. Let's see, right foot in front, left foot steps back. So we already did this. All 10 toes face forward. You're on railroad tracks. You're holding onto your chair or table for support. We bend both knees and we straighten both legs. It can be as small or as big as you want. Next time you're up, we step forward, back foot meets the front. Finally switch. Right leg goes back, all 10 toes face forward, back heel is lifted, feet are 1 to 3 feet apart. We bend the knees and back up. So it's exactly the same thing. We're just on the second side. Maybe you're thinking about that alignment of the torso, or maybe you're done with thinking about that and you're just feeling the legs. Breath is smooth. All right, and then stepping forward, shaking it off. Last thing here, we're back to those bicep curls. Those externally rotated bicep curls. So grabbing those weights if you have them, turn your arms to face out. So palms are facing out to this side as best you can. We bend the elbows and we straighten. Right, your weights are really light. Think about, imagine that you are carrying something heavy, that you're lifting something heavy and lowering something heavy. That will make you work a little bit harder, especially if this feels easy. If this feels easy, create your own internal resistance. Let's do one more. And when you're ready, you'll put those weights down. Finish up with a few stretches here. So having your hands on your chair, table, or wall. We'll step the right foot back behind us 1 to 3 feet. Press the right heel down this time. So that right heel finds the ground, or the back heel finds the ground. And then we bend the front knee. So we have a straight back leg with the back heel down and a bent front knee. your front heel is probably down as well. But here, the focus is thinking about pushing that back heel down into the earth. And let's step forward. Switching sides, other leg goes back. Back leg is straight, back heel is pressing towards the ground, that front knee bends. Jaw is relaxed, shoulders soften, neck softens. And stepping forward. Shaking it off, letting your feet land in whatever position is comfortable to stand tall. Inhale, circle your arms out to the side and up towards the ceiling. Palms touch, hands to the heart. 2 more times. Inhale, arms circle out and up. And exhale, hands lower. 1 more. Inhale. Next time the hands are at the heart, exhale, pause, give yourself a round of applause. Awesome work, everybody. Great having you in class today. If you have any questions regarding class, so our functional fitness or our yoga class, now is a nice time to ask. If you have GoGo related questions, the best thing to do is to email GoGo directly and you can respond to the invites. And they can help you out if you have GoGo questions. And of course, if you don't have any questions, you're welcome to hang out here to hear potentially other people's questions or just pop off. But I'll hang out for a couple minutes. If you're new to class too, every week is different. So every class is different. We often have similar themes, but we change it up. Some days I talk a lot more. So today I did a lot of alignment talking. Some days I don't do any. So there's variety.
I'm exhausted.
Me too. Hopefully that meant it was a good workout for you. All right, I'll let everybody go if no one has any questions. Oh, let's see. Oh yeah, he's reminding me. We're very lucky. I know that this class has been a test. I don't know if maybe you know that the Friday class has not been necessarily a permanent class, but it is now going to be a permanent class. So we will always have class on Fridays as well as Wednesdays. So that's very exciting. And everyone will be invited. So now I don't have to be weird about it on Wednesdays. Where I'd say, oh, that's a special class that not everyone can go to. So that's very exciting that we'll have both and both will be open to everyone. So that's some good news. All right.
Thank you.
And with that, yeah, I'll let everyone go. Thank you. Thanks for being here, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend and I will see you next time.